This call may be monitored and recorded for quality assurance.
This job would be great if it wasn't for the fucking customers.
You're always this stupid. It is you take lessons. Just calm down.
Oh, fuck you!
You can't handle the truth.
This call may be monitored and recorded for quality assurance.
In other words, be nice, asshole. Still good for getting together with Jessica next weekend to do the deep dive for recording.
Yeah.
Because we're going to do, by the way, welcome to Cues and Cucumber. I'm Laura Mack.
And I'm Tanya Edwards.
This is the podcast where we point and laugh at stupid companies, customers, and coworkers alike. Okay, so next week we're going to do a deep dive with Yumi and Jessica because it kind of fits into both shows. There's a documentary. I have a feeling you've probably seen the documentary. But apparently there's a documentary out about the whole LuLaRoe thing.
Okay, I think I started to watch it. That's the leggings, right?
Yeah. Okay, so don't finish it because I'm gonna. That's what the deep because it's very much about like stay-at-home moms.
Right.
There's a huge component of that to that story, and then there's obviously the business aspect of it. But so yeah, we'll do that. We'll get it figured out.
Okay. Yeah.
So before we get into the Elizabeth Holmes of it all. This week.
God.
I'm pretty sure you saw this, what I posted on Facebook about this, but I did want to talk about it because it was so bizarre. The Barnes & Noble incident. Did you see that on my Facebook?
The what?
The Barnes & Noble incident.
No.
This was the weirdest thing. And you know, weird stuff tends to just happen to me. I don't know why. It just does. But I gotta say, this whole thing was probably one of the weirdest experiences I've ever had, which says a lot considering how much weird shit I go through.
Right.
So we got TJ and I, there's a Barnes & Noble 5 minutes down from our house. TJ and I go down first thing on a Saturday morning, right? It's 9 o'clock. We got there right as they opened.
Right.
There's pretty much like 5 people in the whole store, right? We go back to the kids section and we're looking through the books and we're having a grand old time. And all of a sudden, this girl walks up to me. She's maybe 20. She's holding the phone up to her ear and she's snapping her fingers at me. And she's like, quick, spell this place. I'm like, what?
B is in bitch, A is in asshole, R is in ridiculous cunt, N as in I would have.
I just was so taken aback, and I was just like, what do you spell the store? Like, are you seriously asking me to spell Barnes and Noble for you? Okay. So I'm like, the store? And she goes, yes, come on.
See, that right there, I would have punched her because I have zero tolerance for somebody. Things I don't like is people like snapping at me.
Yeah.
And when somebody, if I'm doing something for someone or like if I'm taking phone calls or something, and they say that'll be all. Bitch, I look like Alfred the fucking butler.
Yeah.
Get the hell out. I don't like that.
No. But I was just so taken aback that I wasn't really processing what was happening. So I was just kind of going with it. So I was like, BAR. And she's like, slow down.
Are you deficient in some way?
And she's spelling it to the person she's on the phone with. And at this point, I'm like, okay, I'm about done with you, bitch. RNES and Noble. N-O. She's like, you didn't spell the second word. I'm like, you need me to spell and to you, ma'am? And at this point, this is the moment that TJ, who's been just watching this whole thing unfold, TJ kind of glances around us. Because if you think about the Barnes & Noble store,
their logo is everywhere.
It's everywhere. It's on every shelf. It's on every logo. Yeah. The name is fucking everywhere in that store. And TJ kind of glances around and there's a big old table display of books. And he points to a sign and he's like, it's right there. It's everywhere in this store. Just read it. And she like looks at him and she looks at me and she's like, ugh, I'm never shopping here again. Well, considering it's very obvious you can't read, pretty sure that's not a big loss to the Barnes & Noble Corporation.
They have coloring books if you need one. I mean, you dumb bitch. What?
Who talks to somebody like that in public? A stranger.
Who
snaps?
Regardless. Yeah. Who does
First
that?
of all, don't fucking snap at people.
You're better than me because I'd have came off with some crazy shit.
I was just in shock. I couldn't believe it. It was wild.
B as in bitch, are you stupid?
I know.
A as in, are you out of your fucking mind snapping at me? R as in, I'm about to
rip your fucking head off.
Right.
Jesus Christ. Okay. So we got a bit to get to with the Elizabeth Holmes case. There was only 2 days of trial this week. One thing that I forgot to talk about that I was really struggling to find, I knew there was something else I wanted to tell you last week that I couldn't find, and I finally came across it. Because this, to me, is... I can't wait until they get to this point in the trial, because so far they've only talked about this in the opening statements. Right. And this, to me, is the most damning evidence, because who would have done this other than her?
Of course. Is
my question. So, the government says Holmes forged Pfizer report to woo investors. This is critical to me. Prosecutors said Holmes' alleged deceit in its early stages involved a report supposedly written by pharmaceutical company Pfizer that Theranos' blood analyzer devices showed, quote, superior performance. The problem, prosecutors said, was that Pfizer hadn't authored the report, despite the company's letterhead on the top of the document that Holmes circulated to investors who poured in millions of dollars. Pfizer did not write this. Pfizer did not put its logo on this. Leach, who's the prosecutor, told the jury it did not put its conclusions in this report. In fact, it gave the opposite conclusions. The government plans on calling Pfizer officials as witnesses, in addition to Theranos whistleblowers, investors who said they were defrauded, and patients who claim to have received false and misleading results after paying for Theranos blood tests. Elizabeth Holmes was well aware of these problems, Leach said, of the faulty test results being produced at Theranos. So, how can you claim that you didn't know that shit didn't work? Because
you had to forge a document saying it did.
Yeah. So what your whole argument to me goes out the window with that one piece of evidence. Because I guarantee you that wasn't some lowly secretary or the people they're really trying to blame. And boy, they are pushing it hard. And we talked about this. They are really trying to blame the scientists and the lab techs. Just what we said. Soon as they got caught, they were like, oh, well, we didn't know.
Right.
We trusted our scientists, even though
I'm sure the scientists didn't do this.
Pretty sure the scientists didn't create... Or you're telling me your scientists are the ones that are circulating documents to investors? Pretty sure that's not the case.
Right.
That's you. And Pfizer didn't give you this. They didn't give you the glowing recommendation.
Right. And they didn't because you fucked around with it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Because you made it what you wanted it to say. So that right there shows me pure negligence.
Absolutely.
That's negligence and fraud. So you continued this charade.
Charade. Let's be fancy. You continued the charade.
I've been watching Frasier a lot. Anyways, so yeah, I mean, you did this. You knowingly did this. Mm-hmm. And now there's even more proof that you knew. Mm-hmm. You knew.
Yeah. This isn't something you can pawn off
right.
on blaming your lab, the lowly lab techs, or even the people who are in charge of the lab, or your secretary. No.
You did it.
This is you and Sonny. Period.
Right, and you can't tell me that she did it without him knowing it, or he did it without her knowing.
No, they knew.
They knew.
They knew. They absolutely knew. So... there is one thing that occurred this week that honestly makes me sick to my stomach. It makes me very, very nervous. I'm not too happy.
Oh, God.
Okay, Bird's, we're going to do this kind of out of order here. So, Bird, who's the Safeway guy, Bird's testimony came on the heels of the judge excusing juror number 4. The juror, this makes me so fucking nervous, dude. I'm not happy about this. The juror said she was a Buddhist and expressed significant concern and anxiety about the topic of punishment. It's really hard for me, the juror told the judge. I'm thinking what happened if she has to be there for a long, long time. It's my fault, and I feel guilty for that. The juror said she believes in love, compassion, and forgiveness. Your responsibility as a juror is only to decide the facts of the case. You are not to determine any punishment at all. U.S. District Judge, Court Judge Edward Davila said, that is for the court to decide. That is not your decision. NBC News legal analyst Danny Savalos said having a juror excused because they demonstrate overwhelming sympathy for a defendant is incredibly rare. Maybe we should have seen this coming, Savalos said. After all, Elizabeth Holmes successfully charmed some of the highest profile, most respected individuals, including Henry Kissinger, George Shultz, and James Mattis. What's particularly amazing is that she had this effect on jurors without saying a word, by just sitting there at the defense table. And apparently there was a second juror who also said this. This is making me nervous. These people, they already can see she's guilty, but they already
are feeling bad for her
and don't want to convict and don't want to punish. They're like, yeah, she's going to be. We're 4 weeks into the trial, and they're sitting here saying, I feel too guilty sending her to prison. They can clearly see she's guilty, but it makes them uncomfortable sentencing
What if people
her.
would have had that same...
That has me nervous,
Right,
dude.
and what if there would have been jurors like that when Ted Bundy was on trial?
Yeah.
You know? Like, oh, he looks so sweet, and I don't think that he
But
should...
he's so handsome.
But he's just so handsome. Oh, my gosh. Like, he shouldn't have to go to prison. It was a mistake, you know. Fuck that shit. She broke the law. I guarantee you, if I did half of what this bitch did, y'all would be like, yeah, put that bitch in prison. Put her in.
Honestly, if she were a minority...
Yeah, and that's the other thing, too. If she were a minority...
I think it's the fact she's a pretty white woman, and we just feel very uncomfortable.
And she sort of
as a country.
Right. But she also puts off, and a lot of people who are like narcissists and stuff, they put off that, you know how you always joke about my pheromones or whatever, and how, you know, I think there are narcissists put off some sort of
it's
that
just a presence.
Yeah, it's
and she has it.
Right, because I'm telling you, if you...
And in fact, just sitting in this room with this woman has made jurors feel she hasn't even said anything.
Right.
And the jurors are already feeling sympathy for her.
Yeah.
The fact she hasn't said a word.
Nothing. She
and
can
has
just...
already influenced these people. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, she's going to get off. It makes me sick to my stomach, but she's going to get off.
Yeah, and from what we've seen, she's already moving on to bigger and better...
investors.
Yeah. What should we call them? They're not...
Suckers?
Business schemes. Capers.
Capers?
A caper. It's a fucking caper.
It's a caper.
It's a fucking caper. Through and through. It's
she's up to more shenanigans.
And yeah, that's what she's up to, more shit already. So
it makes me so nervous.
So A, she didn't learn from what she did. And like, okay, well maybe I shouldn't try to pull the wool over millions of people's eyes. And B, it's
she did learn from what she did.
Well, she learned how to do it better. She learned how to do it better.
I guarantee you she learned how to get away with it.
Yeah.
Because now she can look back and look at everything she did, and she can think about those critical moments where she made a misstep that led her to where she's at. Right. Now she knows what to avoid. Okay, so this is, this is about the Safeway dude. He testified. I believe he's still going to be testifying next week. Theranos founder Elizabeth Holmes' charisma may have convinced the CEO of a major grocery store chain to form a partnership with the company, but it wasn't enough to prevent the relationship from souring when the blood testing startup inevitably couldn't deliver on its promises. In court for Holmes' criminal trial yesterday, former Safeway CEO Steve Bird described how his admiration of Holmes and her company rose and then fell over the course of 3 years, from 2010 to 2013, when he retired. Holmes has been charged with 10 counts, etc., etc. When Bird first heard of Holmes' startup and its promised rapid blood testing technology, he said he was, quote, immediately interested in meeting Theranos, particularly the founder. The idea that people could give such a small amount of blood and quickly receive results was, quote, was a fascinating concept. Bird had hoped that Theranos' proprietary diagnostic device would allow shoppers to get a finger prick test upon entering the store and after shopping leave with their results.
I really would feel uncomfortable.
Thank you.
So the whole going to Safeway to get a flu shot and everything else kind of freaks me the fuck out. But whatever. I guess whatever. But I'll be damned if I'm going to go get my finger poked, go pick up my $5 weekly deal, and get some fried chicken from the deli. Maybe a
Tanya
coffee.
Edwards, your results are ready in the pharmacy. You tested positive for cancer.
Right.
Also, we have ground chuck, $2.99 a pound.
Yeah. You know, like,
Okay.
yeah, that
It's uncomfortable.
it freaks me the fuck out. I don't want somebody at Safeway who's sitting next to the Pedialyte and a bag of dog food telling me that I might be dying.
Uncomfortable.
I'm gonna
Call me picky.
right. Maybe I'm just a little too old fashioned. I'm used to all this newfangled science and whatnot. But I just really could you imagine if they'd have told me I had cancer in Safeway? Oh my God. Could you imagine?
Oh God.
Like, all right, so yeah, you have cancer and
Can you imagine people just melting down in the middle of Safeway?
right. And then you have people that are emotional eaters clearing out the whole fucking hot dog and chip section. Like
They just head right for the candy aisle.
right, yeah,
Go
you know,
nuts.
like I just don't.
You don't really want to find out. I'm sorry, you only have 2 months to live in a Safeway.
Yeah, I'm.
Doesn't really feel all that great. There's just certain things that shouldn't be combined. Those feel like two things: a grocery store and your medical.
Like I said, like, okay, so I get the whole picking up a prescription, whatever.
Sure. The idea jibed with his vision to make healthcare a bigger part of Safeway's business. During Bird's 2-decade tenure, the company had opened in-store pharmacies and begun offering vaccines. Though Theranos technology sounded impressive, the real draw, he said, was Holmes. Quote, I was very impressed, Bird told the court. There are very few people I had met in the business that I would actually say are charismatic. She was charismatic. She was very smart, and she was doing one of the hardest things you can do in a business, and that's to create an enterprise from scratch. Bird said he met Holmes in early 2010. Not all CEOs are alike, he said. She would rise to the top of the pile in terms of vision, in terms of command of the information, clearly in terms of delivery. She was always decisive. This I thought was interesting. Whenever she was talking, she owned the room, Bird told the jury. I've had the privilege of meeting 4 U.S. presidents. When the president is in the room, let me tell you, the president owns the room. No one talks unless spoken to. Her style was warm, it was friendly, it wasn't dictatorial. Soon, Bird and Holmes were working on a deal. As part of the pitch, Holmes prepared presentations for Safeway board members and executives in which she explained her company's fingerstick tests, claiming that they could return results from blood, urine, or saliva in 20 minutes at a lower cost than competitors. She said that Theranos was cash flow neutral, which basically means she was telling everybody that they weren't relying on investor funds to pay the bills.
Right.
She was saying that they were making enough money to cover their expenses without having to use investor funds, which wasn't true at all. This company barely made any money over the course of its existence.
We don't need your money.
I know. By September 2010, about 6 months after Bird met Holmes, Safeway had reached an agreement for an $85 million partnership with Theranos. As part of that deal, Safeway would spend $30 million to build labs inside its grocery stores. Bird said that Holmes, not lawyers, did the negotiating for Theranos, something he recalled as unusual. I find that to be interesting. She negotiated all these without lawyers.
Without a lawyer?
Because she knew
that it wasn't legal.
that it was a fraud. And she couldn't bring any lawyers in on it because it was a fraud. And she knew it.
We don't need any lawyers. I'll be handling this. Sure. Unless she had like the lawyer from fucking Scarface or something.
I watched a couple of episodes of Law and Order last night. I could be a lawyer.
Right.
Like that's how she just...
E pluribus unum.
Weirdo.
The fuck ever, lady.
Safeway and Bird quickly began to regret the deal. The cost to add labs to its stores was far more than $30 million, Bird said, and deadlines were continuing to be missed, and we often weren't given an explanation for that. Another red flag popped up in a boardroom demonstration of the Theranos device. Holmes had taken blood from a board member to run a prostate antigen test, which screens for prostate cancer, and had inserted it into her company's diagnostic device, but we never got a result. Yeah, we're just going to check your ass here in the boardroom. As the months and years slipped by, he pleaded with Holmes and Theranos to keep him and Safeway executives in the loop. I kept asking, give me some more details here, he said. That was the frustrating part. We always tried to help them in any way we could. As delays mounted, so did Bird's frustration. By the end of 2012, his company had invested $367 million.
I hope they fired him.
Oh, he retired.
Yeah.
He, quote, retired.
You don't get to work here anymore.
No. Across 963 stores in preparation for the Theranos rollout. In January 2013, he sent Holmes an email detailing his concerns, saying, I do not like wasting time. This does not feel like a partnership. Despite repeated delays, Holmes sent Safeway an invoice for $25 million the next month. No word if Safeway paid it. Bird retired in May 2013, and the partnership was on life support in the years that followed. A planned soft launch never materialized, and in 2015, after the Wall Street Journal published its investigation of Theranos, Safeway ended its partnership with the company. Newsflash. You should have been asking these questions before you gave this bitch, what, $400 million? You got straight up bamboozled. I hate to say it to you, bro, but you straight up got jacked.
Yeah.
And it's your own fault.
Yeah, you got fucked. You got
we talked about this during our deep dive, that you even said, does Safeway and Walgreens not do their due diligence?
Right.
They really just fell in love with her and signed away all this money and then spent years going, what's happening?
I need to come up with a good caper.
Maybe when she gets off, we should reach out to her.
Right. that these companies, and they're not like little mom and pops. These are big corporations, Walgreens and Safeway. These are big ass companies, and they're known throughout the entire country and all over the place, right?
Right.
So for them to just take the bait, really,
and get swindled
and get
so easily.
You were hoodwinked, led astray, bamboozled. You really fell for it all. The old banana in the tailpipe again. You fell for it with little to no information to back up what this hoe was saying. So I think I really am in the wrong line of business.
I think we are. And I know we talked about this a little bit last month or last time we recorded, but everybody has a different take on it because there's so much. Mm-hmm. CNBC got a whole bunch of the texts between her and Sonny.
Oh, Jesus. Some more of these well-written soliloquies.
Oh yeah, let's dive into this. And in a 2014 text message, Holmes wrote to Balwani, "Total confidence in myself. Best business person of the year." This is where, what are you, 12?
Best business person of the year. Well, pat my back. I get a
that sounds like something TJ would say. And he's 8.
Right.
Like, Mommy, I'm going to grow up and be the best business person in the whole world.
Yeah.
Former Theranos CEO Elizabeth Holmes believed in herself so much that she wrote in a text message to Sonny Balwani proclaiming that she had total confidence, best business person of the year. The message to her then boyfriend and Theranos president Balwani are among thousands of private text and Skype messages obtained by CNBC CNBC that show Holmes had no lack of confidence in herself and Theranos, the blood testing company she founded. They also revealed that Holmes told Balwani about courting high-profile investors who ended up giving Theranos hundreds of millions of dollars. Back to this Safeway dude. Listen to these people that she was bamboozling. Oh, we'll get to that here in a second. Quote, this is one of her messages. My new life as of this night and forevermore. Total confidence in myself. Best business person of the year. Focus. Details excellence. Don't give what anyone thinks. Engage employees in meetings by stories and making it about them, i.e. prepare well. It's just random thoughts through her texts. Just stream of consciousness. 10 minutes later, when she didn't get a response...
Right.
She texts Balwani again. No response. Balwani responded. Awesome. You are listening and paying attention. That same month, Holmes texted Balwani. Just finished calls. Alice Walton in for 50. Confirmed 100 Greg. She's apparently referring to Alice Walton of Walmart fame. The Walton family eventually invested a total of $150 million in Theranos in 2014. How did this woman get these people to give her money with nothing? This is what I cannot get past this, and I cannot for the life of me figure it out. How these are not stupid people. These are people who have built, quite frankly, empires, and they are so easily fooled. They had no proof, no nothing. Why? How did she do this? These are some rich ass people that she took for a ride. Balwani responded, awesome. I was thinking today, they are not investing in our company. They are investing in our destiny.
Wow.
A few minutes later in the same text chain, Holmes messaged Balwani, Rupert over 100, referring to media mogul Rupert Murdoch, who was among the high-profile investors in Theranos. Murdoch invested $125 million in the company. Quote, can't wait to learn more about conversation with Rupert, Balwani texted in response. Very good, Holmes said, adding, he would have met longer. She's just 12. He wanted to meet with me for longer. Aren't you jealous? I'm so popular.
Oh my God. I want to punch her. I really just...
I don't like this girl.
At all.
Awful.
It's really disgusting. It's really disgusting. But you know what? A bitch like me, like if Rupert gave me $125 million, fuck y'all and this little machine, I'm out. Like, I would have just left.
Disappeared.
Especially since I know it was all a bunch of bullshit anyways. I mean, for real, at least I would only be on the hook for $125 million instead of $400 million, you know?
Yeah.
Then you're just kind of sleazy. You're not disgusting and you know, like, because this is people's health. Mm-hmm. And you could have killed people.
Yeah. That's the thing.
Then I'm just, fuck you, Rupert. I took your money.
Exactly. So the last thing I wanted to touch on, because I thought this was interesting, because it's very clear, at least from these, during the prosecution's presentation, the defense, ultimately, what it seems to be is them really doing kind of what we said, blaming the underlings. Right. And they are pushing this idea hard that, this technology was possible. Right.
Right.
They just didn't execute it. That's what the defense seems to be pushing. And during the testimony of Rosendorff, that got fucking heated. And let me tell you, I think the defense really fucked up because they pissed off the judge when it came to the question. They just berated the laboratory director for so long and so hard that the judge finally just fucking snapped. He was like, what? You've made your point. You were trying to discredit him. We got it.
Right.
Move the fuck on. Apparently, it was like every article I read, it was just incredibly painful. And they don't think it really did as much good as the defense would have liked. Because what their argument to Rosendorff is, well, look here. You were looking for another job rather than being committed to this thing at Theranos.
Right.
So this is your fault because you weren't committed to actually making it work.
Right.
And ultimately, I guess the other lab he went to go work for is also being investigated. So they were trying to
Like bring them
play it
together
off.
like it's
it's not us, it's him. He's the problem. And they got snippy with each other. And the judge finally just shut it down. It was just like, this is fucking stupid. Okay. But ultimately, that seems to be what the argument is right now from the defense, that it failed because of these people and that it was possible. Not acknowledging the fact.
Okay, so here's what they said, though. Okay, so you just said it. It was possible. But it was not at that time, and it was not working at that time.
It's still not. And we even had somebody comment on one of our episodes saying, well, if this was such a scam, how come a whole bunch of different companies are rolling out the exact same thing? No, they're not. Other companies are rolling out a similar concept, but number one, it's not 200 tests. That's not possible.
No.
Number two, it needs more blood. This 3-4 drops of blood thing.
Yeah, because I can tell you,
No.
I went to the doctor the other day.
Mm-hmm. In a machine the size of a printer. No.
Right, so the machine, I told you how the machine is at my doctor's office.
It's a massive machine.
This is actually about the size of from that door to that closet, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And it has like this little, I don't know, it kind of reminds me of like something you would see on Star Trek or something. You know, they take 3 or 4 vials of blood from me every time. Not just a drop. That's what I'm going to ask the girl next time she takes my blood and be like, you know what? I was reading about this thing about Theranos, and it said...
Plus capillary blood. There's too much pollutants that you have to get through in capillary blood. It needs to be, the reason they take it from a vein is because there's things in your skin, in your capillary blood that it's polluted by, that you can't get an accurate result.
Right, because it's too close to the dermal. It's too close to the epidermal and the dermal layer of your skin. Yeah. So there's dirt, there's different crap in there, no matter how much you wash your hands. So that's why they take it. That's why they hit a vein, bitch. You can't just...
So these people that are defending
what if I get
her...
it? So if I didn't want you to poke my finger and I get a nosebleed, is that okay? I mean, that's how I feel.
Well, all these people that are arguing, well, look at these companies that are rolling out products that can do it. No.
Yeah.
Not like this. Yes, there are companies that are doing things similar, like one machine or a smaller amount of blood, but no company is rolling out 200 tests on 3-4 drops of capillary blood, okay, in a machine the size of a printer.
Right.
That is not happening.
No.
But no, these people that are commenting and defending her, no. It's just... The juror thing really made me nervous this week. The fact she's already seemingly influencing these people and she hasn't said a goddamn word freaks me out. But we'll keep on top of
She's
it.
I don't know. I just am not.
I'm nervous. I think she's getting off, dude.
Yeah.
I really think it. It's just...
And then I give it 6 months to a year before we see like famed Theranos inventor, whatever, you know.
Oh yeah, she's gonna be floating in this weird space of infamous. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like we like, it's kind of like OJ. OJ's out there. It doesn't make us comfortable that he's out there.
Like,
but he is.
Yeah, we know the juice is loose.
We know the juice is loose, and it makes us uncomfortable.
Right, especially as a white woman.
Next on the list, I don't know. Makes me a little nervous. Don't like it. Okay. But I really just think she's gonna get off. Freaks me out.
Yeah, and I like I said, if she does, she'll try something else again. She'll have a new venture.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just kills me. Like if people of privilege.
Who meets her? Who is meeting with her?
Right, because if you're still entertaining this goofball's ideas, then that says a lot about your mental state and moral compass.
Thank you.
And that just let me meet with you, because I'm sure I can come up with some scheme that you'll invest in. I'm tired of being poor, you stupid ass.
If you're looking to just give away money for nothing,
right? I'm your gal.
Yeah. We're available.
Right, yeah. You just want to shoot the shit for a couple hours? Hell, whatever. I'll send you my my Cash App, Peaches.
There you go.
Something Peaches,
Here we go.
Peaches something, $ Peaches, some shit like that. So.
All right. Well, we will keep you updated. I think next week we'll probably do... Oh, next week we're doing the deep dive. So we may not have any Theranos updates for a little bit, but...
Yeah, let's let it
figure
simmer
it
for a while and see what happens.
Yeah, we'll give it a rest for a week or two.
Bitch.
Keep sending your deep dives. Keep sending your questions. Anything about this that you want us to talk about, send it to us, and we'll go from there. So until next time, I'm Lara Mack.
And I'm Tanya Edwards.
Love your faces.
Smooches.
Like what you hear? Rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes or your favorite podcasting platform. And follow us on our Facebook page by searching Q as in Cucumber. Don't forget to check out our other show, hosted by me and Jessica James, called The Parent Memoirs. And we want to hear from you. Share your stories by emailing us at qasIncucumber@yahoo.com, and you might just hear your stories on a future episode. Love your faces.
This call may be monitored and recorded for quality assurance.